Hopefully you all recognize the relayer dashboard here. Just open up the provider profiles. So I am already using, if I hop over to my dashboard, I'm connected to 1,100 or so providers right now. That's because I have a North America provider profile applied. So this is just USA and Canada. If I open up data view, I can pretty easily see just the two countries listed. And in the total of, in Canada, 227 providers, there are 198 that are left usable after we've applied some basic filters. Same with 1,100 in the US, and then about 1,000 left over. So that's how to kind of read this table. If we go into what that actually looks like at a kind of programmatic level, this is about the simplest kind of string, or the kind of simplest filter that we're going to be able to see. So we have host.country equals CA, which is Canada. We also want hosts to be, or providers to be licensed and have an uptime ratio of over 90%. This is pretty boilerplate. You're going to see this bit in all of the filters. And then we also want to allow providers that are in the US with also the same boilerplate of licensed and uptime of over 90%. So I believe it's that 90%. That's the reason why some of them, of the total of 227 that we're considering, 198 pass that filter. But that's how to kind of read this provider profile. So if we were to hop over to the interactive map, and if instead we wanted to make, a new, a bit more advanced provider profile, let's say we are in Euro East. So that leaves this kind of bundle of countries. If we open up the data view, we can see what they are. We can see how many providers are in each of them. And with the basic filter of just 90% and licensed, this is what is kind of left over. So if we hop over to manual string, it starts to get pretty busy. But if we manually edit, we do get a warning on the screen because this is kind of a one-way process in the sense that once we start manually encoding these, we can't go back just because we haven't yet built the interpreter to be able to go back the other way. So we can just make these nice and neat. And we start to realize pretty quickly, once we split it up like that, that these are all following pretty much the same template that we've seen before. So it has the country. I think this is Belarus. It has that boilerplate part of 90% uptime or better and licensed. And here, this is a new one. We have host IP zone is Euro East. So that's the case for all of these countries that we have applied here. So these are kind of what I'm hoping to get out of this for the viewer is to be kind of introduced to these tags. So we have host country, host licensed, host uptime ratio, IP zone. These are some of the basic building blocks for these kinds of queries. Now you may have also noticed we have a parity string and a data string. This refers to the data and parity pieces from the EC process. It is possible to do separate filters, I guess, or different profiles for data versus parity. There are reasons why you might want to go into that. So perhaps you want your data pieces to be really local and really fast and high performance because those are the ones you're going to be hitting on first. But then you might want parity to actually be a bit further away. Just in case something were to happen locally, then you still have that kind of redundancy outside of your specific region. So it's just a consideration. I think for the most part, you'll probably want them to be the same. But what we can also do that's kind of neat, let me grab this over here. If we open up the map, just map.xns.tech, this is hopefully something that we've all kind of seen before. I think it's on my my green screen background right now. So if we zoom in, this is Eastern Europe that we're looking at. Let's go to Kiev. For no reason other than they somehow have like 7 storage providers. Let's say this one's ours. And it'll just take a minute to fetch that information. What we're hoping to get here is grab the pub key. So this is the IP address. What we really want is this thing. So if we click on that, it'll take us to the Grafana, and just from the URL, we can grab the pub key. And what we could do now is build this pub key into the filter. So let me grab that. This is another tag that we can do. So host.publickey equals the host's public key. So where this might be useful is, while this storage provider is already included in the Ukraine filter, the Ukraine filter is filtering for hosts with 90% uptime. And let's say you own this storage provider and you want it to be included no matter what, even if it falls below 90% uptime, then this would be a situation where you can actually manually name your storage provider. So if you have multiple storage providers, which probably all of you do, then you could go through the process of just listing all of them in such a case that they will be included in your sets no matter what, even if they would already fall under some of these otherwise. And then when you're done with that, you will probably want to copy that, maybe put it over to Notepad and keep it somewhere safe, just so you don't have to go through this again. And then paste it over to the parity string as well. So we'll name this EEU for Eastern Europe, and we'll save that profile. Now, if we hop back over here, we can see EEU. Right, because this was a manual string, we don't see it on the map because the interpreter was one way. That was the significance of what I meant there. But here now I can switch the profile over to EEU, and it might take a minute to switch over. There we go, 107 storage providers. We didn't have to restart host.io or anything. That was a pretty straightforward process, and now we are using the EEU profile. So some other considerations, you may have seen that in that profile there were like 107 storage providers that were left over. I think that was from a potential, I guess we don't get the data view with this one either. Let me just see what it would be. Euro East, data view. So that's of 119 that are left over from the filter. So almost all of them are actively connected to at the moment. But 107 or 119, that's not a lot. If we remember the kind of 80-40 EC ratio, that's actually not enough, or it's just not quite enough. So what you would really want, particularly if you would like to see some good performance numbers, you would want to be in the hundreds. So if I switch back over to my North America set, this has like 1,200 left over. I was connected to 1,100 when we started this. That would be pretty good performance, and I was seeing pretty good performance with that. But just as of right now, since I suppose there are not a ton of storage providers online in Eastern Europe right now for various reasons, then that's just a consideration. So if you're to start doing this today, you might want to either cast a bit of a wider net, so include more countries, or get involved with us and start brainstorming of ideas of what we could do to help jumpstart more storage providers in Eastern Europe, because there's lots of options open to us. This is just how things are at the time of recording this. So I think that's pretty much everything I hope to cover with provider profiles.